moving into Central Florida, where principally we'll talk about Orange County, but we'll also be talking about Lake, Polk, and Osceola counties. Of course, this region of the state also encompasses some of the territory that's in Northeast Florida as well. And so the Congressional District 3, which again has a 49% African-American voting age population, comes all the way into Orlando. This region of the state, when you look at districts 5, 6, 7, has approximately, just within those 3 districts, something about 450,000 people that have to be moved into another district. So the overpopulation of just those 3 districts almost creates another 2/3 of another district in the northern central part of the state. There was a submission to the legislature that came actually at the Orlando public hearing, and that submission was to create a Hispanic access seat in Orange, Osceola, and Polk counties. And the seat crosses into Polk right around the Poinciana, I hope I'm saying that correctly, community. Poinciana community. The submitted seat gets to a little past the 43% threshold for the Hispanic voting age population. There were other versions of this seat submitted. It appears that some of the map drawers who've submitted seats within the last month more than one occasion took this district and incorporated it into their maps that they submitted to the legislature, albeit this is amongst the higher Hispanic voting age populations of the different variations that we've seen of this suggestion. Moving on in Orange County in Central Florida, one of the interesting points or themes that you could see, again, kind of getting into the either-or type of decisions that you might be able to make, is the relationship that Orange County has with its surrounding counties, and likewise the relationship that, for example, Osceola County has with its surrounding counties. And there were different and contrasting proposals that were made. There were a number of proposals to link Osceola with Orange, but there were a number of proposals that only suggested to do so in part. And so there's definitely some difference in terms of what the public was asking you to consider. In this particular case, on page 11 in your booklet, this particular individual connected Osceola with Polk County, Orange with Lake, Orange with Seminole, and then attempted to create something of the Hispanic access seat, although did not cross into Polk County. That left the Hispanic voting age population at under 40%. Moving on to page 12 in your packet, the suggestion here was similar in that, again, it attempted to create that Hispanic access seat. The voting age population of that seat was a little higher. It was 38%, and again, did not cross into Polk County. This individual, though, connected Osceola with Orange and Brevard counties. Again, Orange with Lake, and then again Orange with Seminole. In this sense, comparing the two, Orange is somewhat more regionalized in terms of its connection to the various communities around it. Now, moving on to the next point, there is in terms of access for the African American community, there is the seat coming down from Duval County, and there's an interesting relationship in how different persons of the public presented that with other ideas, and what those ideas may overlap, may conflict. In the case of the Hispanic access seat that was submitted, there is a small overlap, not significant that would be to the detriment, but there is a small overlap of the two seats. On page 14 in your packet, what you'll see is if you, the first example that's on the slide here, if you basically covered the Hispanic access seat with the African American Congressional District 3, if you covered it what it would do is it would shift the voting age population down just slightly to 43% for the Hispanic access seat, and you'd have about just under 40,000 residents to add to the seat. In reverse, going to the next slide, if you took that Hispanic seat and put that on top of the territory, on top of the geography of the existing congressional, actually I shouldn't say the existing District 3, this is the redrawn District 3 that was in Plan 62. If you put the Hispanic access seat on top of that, it reduces the African American voting age population just down to 48%. So again, not a great conflict in terms of the effects, but there is a slight overlap. In terms of Lake and Polk counties, they share an interesting relationship in how congressional districts are divided in this region, because essentially they are down your middle corridor of the state. So when you're building districts, it's not just substantive issues, but there's a technical issue of what you do with Lake County, what you do with Polk County can dramatically affect what you do to the east and west in the map, regardless of the substance of it. And so in this particular case, this individual grouped together Lake, Sumter, a good portion of Marion, including Ocala, and then a little bit of Hernando County as well. The intent may have been to perhaps wrap in the villages, community, or so forth, but again, the point being that this particular decision, if this is something where you heard at the villages meeting, keep the villages community together, if that was a decision you wanted to make, it has this effect then of changing your path down the state and what you'll do in the Orlando area and potentially in the Tampa area as well. And then looking to Polk County, some of the prior examples we looked at before connected Polk County with either Osceola or connected Polk County with Hillsborough. We included this example from Plan 19 just to show how some individuals did take the southern half of Polk County. Bartow was suggested as a theoretical, although not necessarily perfect, dividing line, but the southern half of Polk County with some of the rural counties to the south of it. Although in this particular example, the individual then takes that all the way down into Charlotte and Lee counties as well, which could be argued it could defeat the point of it being a rural district. But nonetheless, again, there was a clear signal from some individuals that they were okay with taking the southern half of Polk and putting it into a different district. Now, in terms of the question of starting the map building process in Orange County, the way we chose to look at this is it seemed that the question was rooted in Central Florida being divided up and having more county divisions and more geographical division. So we looked for a suggestion from the public that for the most part didn't divide up the Orange County area much. In this case, this plan only divided Orange County 3 different ways. Essentially, it took a lot of downtown Orlando, put that into a district. In fact, this individual only divided 4 cities in the entire state, which was a rather remarkable thing. But downtown Orlando into one district, going somewhat into Osceola County, taking East Orlando, putting that into Brevard, taking West Orlando, and combining that with some of Seminole and Osceola and Polk. However, looking at this suggestion and thinking about how to build this forward, this does eliminate, at least on its face, this does eliminate the African American access seat. So if your intent then was to keep that seat, what we did was we took the access seat submitted in Plan 62 and meshed it with, it seemed to be the driving force behind the plan that was submitted in 31. So essentially this brings the access seat into Orlando. The county then has to be divided 4 ways because of the population wouldn't work out otherwise. And so what this does here is this, again, thinking about building in Central Florida first and building out, this takes a large portion of western Orange County, combines it with Lake and with Sumter, not all of Lake though. That district is relatively close in population. This district takes, or this configuration takes most of Seminole, combines it with some of Orange, and then it keeps pieces, it keeps Brevard whole, Polk whole, Volusia whole, and then in terms of how you would carry forth something like this, if you wanted to follow this through, I would suggest that you would want to take these districts and go directly south or directly north, because your way of building and completing your map and any flexibility you may have, you need those western then Florida counties. So you need the Tampa area in case you go through the process of building this and you realize you need to make corrections and make adjustments. If you go directly west, you've essentially cut the state in half, and then you have to hope your population works out. So again, to build this out, you'd want to basically go directly south and directly north to leave yourself some flexibility in building your map.